Hi everyone, it is alenajingle, and today I have the girl part of the videos I'm doing, which is the less popular alternatives to the new names in the top 100 boy and girl names of the year 2015. So this video is bound to be really long, so I apologize for that because there were 6 girl names that left the top 100 girl names, and I will mention them super quick. There were Sophie, went from 91 to 104, Alexandra went from 92 to 101, London went from 93 to 105, Lauren went from 94 to 119, Hadley went from 99 to 102, and Jasmine went from 100 to 112. I'm not going to go into details on those names, but I will list some videos below of other name tubers who have talked about those names. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to have 6 names that I'm going to be talking to you guys about, and each of them will have 3 alternatives, and I will talk about them in order from most popular to least popular. So at number 63 in the year 2015 was the name Hazel. It went from 105 to 63, jumped over 40 spots. Huge jump, but it wasn't surprising me at all because I have been meeting Hazels for several years now, and it's a name I see on lots of people's lists and in lots of birth announcements, and so I've been expecting it to be in the top 100 girl names for quite a while now. Hazel is of course an English name that refers to the beautiful color or the nut. This is definitely strongly associated with the book and film The Fault in Our Stars. I definitely think that has a lot to do with its big rise in popularity. There's a beautiful old-time actress named Hazel Court. There's a Bob Dylan song called Hazel. There is a character from the children's chapter book Watership Down called Hazel. Hazel and Phineas are the names of Julia Roberts' twins, of course, and actress Emily Blunt and her husband, actor John Krasinski, have a daughter named Hazel as well. This was in the top 100 girl names up through 1936. It left the top 1,000 in 1975, re-entered in 1998, and has had just a huge jump. It's just been rising quickly in popularity. It went from not being in the top 100 to being just slightly outside of the top 50. I could see this probably being a top 20 name at least. I have been meeting Hazels for years, like I mentioned. My first daycare I worked at in 2007 actually had a baby named Hazel there all the way back then. My first Hazel alternative I have is Maple. This is an English name that of course refers to the shrub or the flavor. This is definitely strongly associated with the country Canada, and I'm not sure if I would have thought of this as a name if not for the actor Jason Bateman, who recently named his baby girl Maple Sylvie Bateman. And there's also a Robert Frost poem about a maple, which I think is really sweet. And something that is fun about Maple is that she can go by May as a nickname, and so I think that Maple could honor someone whose first or middle name is May as well. This was a top 1,000 girl name just one year in 1902 at 957, so of course it has never been a popular name before, and I think someone who likes Hazel might like Maple for that similar sound and because they're both related to trees. My next Hazel alternative I have is Liesel. This is a German diminutive of Elizabeth, meaning God's promise. There's a fashion designer named Liesel Gibson, and this is the name I've always loved because I have so many positive associations with it. I definitely strongly associate it with the character Liesel von Trapp from The Sound of Music, and there is a wonderful book and film called The Book Thief where the main character is a little girl named Liesel. Wonderful associations, and yeah, I think this name totally needs to be used more. It's never even been in the top 1,000 girl names in the US, and I think someone who likes Hazel might like Liesel because they're both 2-syllable old-fashioned girl names ending in a similar sound. And my last Hazel alternative I have is Hagar. This is an English form of a Hebrew name that means flight, and this is definitely one of the most controversial names I've ever talked about on my channel. It's controversial because Hagar is the name of the woman in the Old Testament who Abraham has a son with before he has a child with his wife Sarah. Some people don't think this name is usable because of that, but Abraham was blessed through his child that he had with Hagar, and so I think it is a very positive association, and there are lots of popular names with this sound right now, and so I definitely think it would be accessible in 2016 in the US. This is of course the surname also of the lead singer from Van Halen, Sammy Hagar, and I think someone who likes Hazel might like Hagar because they're both 2-syllable old-fashioned names that begin in that hey sound. At number 79 in the year 2015 was the name Aurora. This is a Latin name that means dawn and of course refers to the beautiful, incredible Aurora Borealis as well. This is definitely associated with the Disney princess Aurora, or Briar Rose, aka Sleeping Beauty. There's an actress named Aurora Perrineau from the movie Gem and the Holograms, and there is a new film coming out called Aurora Tea Garden Mystery, A Bone to Pick, that stars Candace Cameron Bure as Aurora. There's also a Canadian comic superhero named Aurora, and this is the name of a Roman goddess as well. This has always been in the top 1,000 girl names, but it's in the top 100 girl names for the first time ever. The one thing I don't like about Aurora is I find it's kind of hard to say in general, but especially for little kids, and so someone who is concerned about pronunciation issues might consider one of these names instead. My first Aurora alternative I have is Aurella. This is another Latin name that means oracle. There are towns in Nebraska and in India called Aurella, but it is extremely rare otherwise, and I think someone who likes Aurora might like Aurella for that super similar sound. My next Aurora alternative I have is Merida. This is a Scottish variant of Margaret, which means pearl. In Spanish, this is pronounced Merida and is a place name and a given name of unknown meaning. If you know the meaning of that, let me know in the comments below. And of course, this is definitely super strongly associated with the princess character from Disney's movie Brave. And I think someone who likes Aurora might like Merida because they're both three-syllable names ending in A that are strongly associated with Disney princesses. My last Aurora alternative I have is Elora. This is an English variant of Eliora, which means God is my light. So beautiful. This was always a name that was just okay for me, and then about 3 years ago I met a baby girl named Aurora with this spelling, and she was one of the most beautiful, sweet, well-behaved babies ever. Oh, she was absolutely gorgeous, and she made me really like that name. This is a name that a lot of people I hear say love because of the movie Willow, where there was a baby named Elora Danan in that. There is a queen in the Trill trilogy by Amanda Hocking named Elora, and a character in the game Spyro the Dragon named Elora as well. This was in the top 1,000 girl names for the first time in 2015 at 963, and I think someone who likes Aurora might like Elora for that super similar sound. Before I go on to the next name, two other really great alternatives for Aurora are Aurelia and Zora. However, in my series, I did use them as alternatives to Zoe and Amelia, but I just thought I'd throw that in there quick. At number 88 in the year 2015 in the US was the name Cora. This is a Latin name that means maiden, and it was ranked at 103 in 2014, so it went up 15 spots. This was actually a family name for me. I had a great-great-grandma who was from Mexico named Cora, and it's a name that I do see brought up a lot, so I'm not at all surprised to see it in the top 100 girl names. This is the name of the Queen of Hearts from the show Once Upon a Time. Cora Crawley is the name of one of the main characters from Downton Abbey, and there is a character in The Last of the Mohicans named Cora, and a lot of people I hear say they like the name Cora because the name of the little girl from the movie Titanic as well. This has always been in the top 1,000 girl names and was in the top 100 girl names through 1912. My first Cora alternative I have is Kira. This is a feminine form of Kieran, which means dark or black. There's an actress named Kira Renee from the movie Legends of Tomorrow, and there is an actress named Kira Bravo from the show Big Time Rush. This is of course associated with the gorgeous singer Sierra. She pronounces her name that way, this spelling. However, pretty much the only place that it's being pronounced Sierra is in the US and Canada. This is a name that I think is absolutely stunning, and I would love to see it used more and would happily use it myself as well. And this entered the top 1,000 girl names in 1982 and is now ranked at 757. And I think someone who likes Cora might like Kira for that very similar look and sound. My next Cora alternative I have is Cleora. This is a Greek name that means glory, and I love that she could have Cleo for a nickname. I think that is absolutely wonderful, but it is so rare that no babies have had this name in at least the last 5 years in the US. But I think it's super accessible and beautiful, and I think someone who likes Cora might like Cleora for that similar sound, and because Cleora could go by Cora as a nickname. And my last Cora alternative I have is Socorra. This is a Spanish name that comes from the word in Spanish for help or relief. This is also a very rare name in the US, and it's sometimes more commonly used with its masculine form, Socorro, on boys and girls. I think Socorra is absolutely beautiful and actually kind of reminds me of my little girl's name, Keturah. And I think someone who likes Cora might like Socorra for that similar sound, and of course she could go by Cora as a nickname. At number 97 in the year 2015 in the US was the name Quinn. This is an English form of an Irish name that means son of a chief, so very masculine meaning, and it went from 126 to 97, so almost 30 spots it went up. This is another name I'm not at all surprised to see it being in the top 100. I see it used all the time on boys and girls, and it's actually in the 300s for boys in popularity right now, so it's still pretty popular for boys as well. This is a name I first saw used as a girl in the show Daria, which I used to really love, and her younger sister in that show is named Quinn Morgendorfer. There are two young actresses named Quinn, Quinn Shepard and Quinn McColgan. This is definitely associated with Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, and I think a huge, if not the main reason why Quinn is so popular for girls is because it is the name of Diana Agron's character in the show Glee. And there are many characters in current TV shows named Quinn right now, and it is also a popular surname as well. This was in the top 1 girl names 1 year in 1979 and then finally re-entered in 1995 and then is currently at its most popular ranking for girls, of course. I definitely think one of the huge reasons people like Quinn is because it starts with a Q, and there are not a lot of names in general that start with a Q for girls, and so all 3 of my alternatives are going to be Q names as well. My first Quinn alternative I have is Quinna. This is a feminine form of Quinn, and it was a name that hadn't even been on my radar until I watched the show called I'm Having Their Baby, which is a show about adoption, and there was a family that adopted a baby girl named Quinna, and I thought she was one of the most beautiful little baby girls I'd ever seen, and I really loved her name on her, and it made me really like that name. This is also the name of a character in the Final Fantasy games, and her name is spelled with just 1 N, and I think that would work as well as a feminine form of Quinn. But it is otherwise extremely rare in the US, and I think someone who likes Quinn might like Quinna because they have the similar sound, they have the same roots, and of course Quinna could even go by Quinn as a nickname. My next Quinn alternative I have is quartz. It is an English name that of course refers to the beautiful mineral or crystal, and it comes from the Polish word that means hard, of course. It is extremely rare, but I think it is very usable because gemstone names are on the rise, and ruby is a top 100 girl name now, so I definitely think quartz would fit in well with that, and I actually think quartz would be really cool for a boy or a girl. And I think someone who likes Quinn might like quartz because they're both 1-syllable Q names. And my last Quinn alternative I have is quill. This is an English word that refers to a feather pen. I think that is so adorable. There are a couple of different Marvel comic characters named Quill, and this is another name I think would be really cute on a boy as well as a girl, and it would be a name that would be great for someone who is into writing to use as well. I think someone who likes Quinn might like Quill for that similar sound. They're both 1-syllable Q names, and they both have that double letter ending. At number 98 in the year 2015 was the name Clara. This is a Latin name that means clear, and it went from 109 to 98. However, just like in my boy video, I had a name that I had used as an alternative enter the top 100 names, and Clara was one of my Claire alternatives, and so because of that I'm going to suggest another alternative for Claire as well. My alternatives I mentioned were of course Clara, Clarice, and Clove, and instead of Clara for an alternative to Claire you might consider Clarinda. This is an English variant of Clara that means clear again. This is a name that is very special to me because I spent a beautiful weekend in a town called Clarinda with a close friend shortly before he passed away, and I would definitely consider using this name because of that. There are characters in several 16th century plays named Clarinda, and this is a name that was used on the main Queen fairy in Edmund Spenser's The Fairy Queen epic poem. And I think someone who likes Claire might like Clarinda because they have the same meaning, and Clarinda could go by Claire as a nickname. Now on to my Clara alternatives. My first Clara alternative I have is Clary. This is a diminutive of names that begin with Claire, meaning clear, and it also is the name of a plant or herb in English. This is definitely strongly associated with the main character from the Mortal Instruments books, films, and now TV series, and both of the actresses who played her were absolutely stunning, so they're very good associations for me. This is a name I talked about quite a bit in a video I made with Amelia, who is Everything Baby Names on YouTube recently, and I will go ahead and link that in the comments below. And this is a name I could totally use if it worked with my last name. I think it is absolutely gorgeous, and I think someone who likes Clara I like Clary because they have the same meaning and a similar sound. My next Clara alternative I have is Clara. This is the form of Clara for several European countries, and of course means clear again. There is a gorgeous Czech actress named Klara Isová, and Clara Prost is the name of a Marvel superhero as well. And I think someone who likes Clara might like Clara because they're only 1 letter apart in their spelling and pronunciation. Of course, they have the same meaning. And my last Clara alternative I have is Vera. This is a Latin name that means truth, and is also a Russian name that means faith, and an Albanian name that means summer. So 3 absolutely beautiful meanings, and of course it makes this a very international name, which I absolutely love. This is definitely associated with the purse retailer Vera Bradley and fashion designer Vera Wang. There's a very popular actress named Vera Farmiga, and Vera Miles is the actress from the movie Psycho, and there's a gorgeous Russian actress named Vera Filatova, a Russian figure skater named Vera Bazarova, and then actress Jane Mansfield was actually born Vera Jane Mansfield. There are characters in lots of books and shows called Vera, including Tolstoy's War and Peace, Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. There are Veras on the shows Cheers and Downton Abbey. This is a name I absolutely adore. I think it is beautiful, and it is currently in my top girl names as a middle name, Lilius Vera. This was in the top 100 girl names through 1929, left the top 1000 in 1984. It just re-entered in 2009, is now ranked at 312. And I think someone who likes Clara might like Vera because they're both old-fashioned names with a similar sound. And finally, my last name for this video at number 99 in the year 2015 was the name Reagan. It is a Gaelic name that means little king, so very masculine meaning. This is definitely associated with President Ronald Reagan, and there are at least 3 girl names I can think of off the top of my head in the top 100 girl names that are the names of presidents. Reagan, Kennedy, and Madison. So somehow this name kind of snuck into the top 100 for me. I didn't realize it was getting so popular, but it totally makes sense that it is getting popular. There's an actress named Reagan Gomez Preston, and this is definitely associated with the little girl from the movie The Exorcist as well. This was in the top 1,000 girl names a few times in the 70s, re-entered in 1993, and was a top 100 girl name 1 year in 2012, and then again just re-entered in 2015. My first Reagan alternative I have is Rhea or Rhea. This is a Latin form of the Greek Rhea, R-H-E-I-A, which means flowing stream. This is the name of one of the moons of Saturn that is named after the mythological mother of Zeus. And of course there is actress Rhea or Rhea Perlman, who is from Cheers. There is a model named Rhea Durham, and a character in Stephen King's Dark Tower series named Rhea as well. This was in the top 1,000 girl names through the 1960s and re-entered in 2015 at 989. I actually went to school with a Rhea in junior high, and I remember thinking it was a super pretty name and that it was kind of cool that I knew somebody with that name. And I think someone who likes Reagan might like Rhea or Rhea because they're both 2-syllable names with a similar beginning sound. My next Reagan alternative I have is Reina. This is the Spanish word for queen. I absolutely love that. There are a few Japanese celebrities with this name and a few different Japanese characters in shows with this name. So I assume this must be a name in Japanese as well. I don't know anything about that, so if anyone knows what the meaning of Reina is in Japanese, I would love if you could tell me that in the comments below. This entered the top 1,000 girl names in the US in 1993. It is now ranked at 952. I think this name is crazy beautiful, and like the meaning is perfect, and I would just love to meet a little Reina. I think someone who likes Reagan might like Reina for that similar sound, and they both have very regal meanings. And my last Reagan alternative is one of my most unique names I've ever talked about in my videos, and that is Tarragon. This is an English herb name that comes from the Latin word for dragon. So cool. The herb is similar to the anise herb and is used for cooking, and something I think might help make this name accessible is that she could go by Tara very easily as a nickname. And I think someone who likes Reagan might like Tarragon because Tarragon ends in a similar sound to Reagan. And that is it for this video. Please let me know in the comments below what your favorites were of the alternatives I listed and any other alternatives you like for these names. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!